Hi everyone, I'm Michael. Welcome to today's class. We get so caught up with our own daily life, daily problems, friends, and family, we don't often take time to think about our place in the universe. Right now, as you are listening, you are on a giant spinning planet traveling through space. This planet is hurling around the sun, a giant fireball sun, at about 100,000 kilometers an hour. An invisible force called the orbit keeps us on a fixed path, which is just the right distance from the sun for life to exist on Earth. Although we cannot see them, there are many hidden forces which control the universe. Many of these forces are present in our daily life. There are some that can be explained with science, while others remain a mystery. Some forces we can manipulate and control, while other forces manipulate and control us. If we take time to think about the invisible forces in the universe, it may improve our understanding about the world around us. We are going to talk about three things in today's lesson. Part 1, invisible forces in the universe. Part 2, invisible forces in the human mind. Part 3, invisible forces that shape society. There are many different invisible forces of the universe. The force that brings things together is gravity. Gravity is something that we experience throughout our entire lives, yet we rarely think about it. It is a fact of life we rarely question, but what causes the force of gravity? Our course talks about the force of gravity. There are several fundamental forces that hold our universe together. One of these, of course, is gravity, the force between objects that have mass. Gravity is the natural fact that all things with mass are attracted to each other. If we think about our solar system, the planets revolve around the sun because they are attracted to the sun's large mass. The same is true with humans on Earth. Human bodies are attracted to the Earth's large mass. Since gravity is constantly pulling down on humans, it also pulls down on our skin. When people get older, their skin is weaker to fight against the pull of gravity. That's why we see when older people's skin sags down and forms wrinkles, people usually blame wrinkles on time, but gravity is the real culprit. While gravity doesn't just pull down the skin and make humans look older, it also makes us look tired and depressed. A recent study was conducted by Dior to examine the effect gravity has on people's faces. It showed that an increase in gravity makes people's faces look not only older, but more tired, sad, and depressed. Conversely, the same face shown without the effect of gravity was described by people as happy, confident, and attractive. So if gravity pulls down on our faces, making us look older, does this mean we would be better without gravity? Let's look at what would happen to our world if gravity suddenly stopped working. Keep in mind, the Earth is spinning around at about 1,000 kilometers an hour. Consider what would happen if gravity suddenly stopped working. The oceans would all drift up into space, exposing the ocean floor to sunlight. Every object not attached to the Earth would float away, including cars, garbage, and people. For humans, the most pressing issue would be air floating out into space. The only humans who might survive would be in airtight places, such as an airplane or submarine. Eventually, these final survivors would run out of air, and the human race would be extinct. Since we need gravity to survive, How can we outsmart gravity to make it help us? Can we hang upside down and have our face pulled back up to look younger? That's the idea behind the anti-gravity yoga. Anti-gravity yoga uses a silk hammock to do yoga poses while hanging upside down. It has been shown to improve blood flow, muscle strength, balance, and body posture. People who practice anti-gravity yoga have fun during their workout and release their stress. For one reason or another, this exercise has a good chance of making people look and feel happier and more attractive. Back to today's topic of invisible forces. The next one we will talk about is electromagnetism. This mysterious sounding force is a combination of electricity and magnetic force. In 1800, Alessandro Volta invented the first battery allowing humans to control electricity. Soon after, in 1821, Michael Faraday invented the electric motor by using electricity to control magnetism. Our course provides an accurate explanation. The electromagnetic force has two parts, the electric force and the magnetic force. The electric force is the force between electrically charged particles, such as electrons and protons. Electric charges attract or repel each other with a force that depends on the distance between them. The magnetic force is the force between magnetic poles, such as the North and South Pole. To explain how it works, imagine wrapping a metal wire around an object with the shape of a round cylinder, like a straw. Now, when you run an electric current around it, it creates a magnetic field. This wire is now an electromagnet. When you increase the electric power running through the wire, it increases the power of the magnet. When you shut off the electricity, the magnet instantly stops. The ability to turn a magnet on and off and adjust its power can be very useful in a wide range of applications. Some uses of electromagnetism are in computer memory storage, credit card scanners, speakers, and medical equipment such as MRI machines. A computer's memory uses electromagnetism to store huge amounts of data into memory chips. This is why you should never let a heavy magnet come close to your computer, or it could erase your data. Friction is the force that resists motion. It can't be seen, but it can be felt. In some situations, we want more friction. Some situations, we want less. A car's wheels are a good demonstration of friction. On the outside of the wheel is the tire, which is made of rubber. Rubber against the road has a lot of friction, so the car can quickly start and stop moving as needed. Friction is an interaction between two surfaces that are in contact with each other. Therefore, the amount of friction depends on the two surfaces and the force holding them together. When ice skating, the amount of friction is very low, since the two materials touching are smooth ice and the smooth steel blade of the skate. Similar to tires, shoes are designed to have a high amount of friction, so the person wearing them does not slip and fall. If you've ever walked on ice, you know what it feels like to experience low friction. Furthermore, if there was no friction, it would be impossible to even stand up. We wouldn't be able to even crawl or move in any direction. We'd just be slipping and sliding all over the place. Moving on to the force of tension, which can be visualized by imagining a game of tug-of-war. When each side pulls on the rope in opposite directions, The rope experiences tension. But what practical uses are there for tension in the real world? One place which takes advantage of huge amounts of tension is on a suspension bridge. Some of the most famous bridges in the world are suspension bridges. Examples include the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City, and the Huangpu Bridge in Guangzhou. Suspension bridges use large towers to hold up two huge steel cables that run the length of the bridge. These large cables are connected to many smaller cables that are attached to the road surface of the bridge. The weight of the road creates tension on the smaller cables, which transfer the tension to the big cables. The heavy tension of the big cables transfers to the tower, which are rooted in the ground below. Therefore, the force of gravity acting on the road is in perfect balance with the force of tension of the cables. Up to this point, we have been talking about the forces that exist in the universe. But what forces exist within our own minds? To answer this question, we should think of a person's mind as a tool that gives them the ability to see and experience the world. Furthermore, humans don't just sit back and watch the world go by. They take part and try to change it. We do this by creating our own identity and personality. Our identity makes us believe that we have total control over our decisions, but there are several invisible forces which affect our actions. Emotions are an invisible force which has a huge impact on our mind's ability to think clearly. We may have noticed changes in the behavior of a friend when they are experiencing strong emotions. Examples of emotions that can influence the mind are anger and fear. Anger happens when one feels they or people they care about are being attacked or threatened. This can be in a physical sense or a mental one, like when someone's dignity or pride is threatened or attacked. The response is an increasing desire to fight, which needs to be controlled in order to find a peaceful solution. Fear is what we feel when we think we are in danger. This emotion helps us to respond to threats in order to stay alive. Fear makes us want to run away from the threat, which is usually the best chance of survival. This emotion is very similar in both humans and animals. Envy is a feeling of anger or bitterness when people want what someone else has. It can be caused by another person who has a certain object or quality. Envy can motivate a person to try and get the things they want. However, it can also drive them to cause problems for the person they are envious of. Love is a powerful force that affects human beings in different ways. There are many kinds of love, including self-love, romantic love, love towards a friend, family, God, or an idea. Love causes people to consider other people as more important than themselves. For example, a mother is willing to sacrifice everything because she loves her child. Unlike emotions, having morals is a force which affects humans but not animals. Only humans can tell the difference between right and wrong. For example, if we saw a stranger in trouble, we would try to help them because it's the right thing to do. Our morals have an impact on how we interact with the world. Before humans make a decision to act, we make sure it follows our morals first. Another unseen force that affects the way humans behave is hope. Hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for something positive to happen. People may hope for very specific things, such as acceptance into a certain university, or for more general things, such as a happy life. Having hope makes a person optimistic, meaning they usually see the positive side of a situation. In English, we call them optimists. The opposite of an optimist is a pessimist. This is someone who always assumes that negative outcomes are more likely to happen. There is a very common English idiom describing these two attitudes. A glass is filled with water up to the halfway point. The pessimist describes the glass as half empty, while the optimist describes the glass as half full. When someone has a positive outlook, it can have a positive impact on their performance. For example, if someone is running in a long distance race, it would be helpful to repeat the words, "I can do it." This helps the runner to maintain a positive attitude, preventing them from getting discouraged and giving up. The popular children's story, The Little Engine That Could, is another example of the power of positive thinking. In the story, a small train engine is faced with a seemingly impossible challenge of pulling a large train up a steep hill. However, the little engine repeats the words, "I think I can," to itself over and over again. This positive attitude gives the little engine enough focus and determination to complete the challenge. Henry Ford, founder of the Ford Motor Company, was a firm believer in positive thinking. He illustrates this point in his famous quote, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right." This means that one's attitude has a big impact on their chances of success. This quote is similar to a self-fulfilling prophecy, a prediction that causes itself to become true. For example, if a news report predicts a stock will increase in value, many investors may buy the stock. This surge in buying then causes the stock to go up according to the prediction. The prediction starts as an idea in one's mind, but becomes a force that impacts people's behavior. While these forces which influence the mind are invisible, the brain itself is a physical object which should be protected. A strong impact can damage the brain and negatively affect a person's ability to think. Remember to be cautious when playing sports or driving a car, as these are the most likely situations where serious head injury can happen. With so many people sharing the planet, humans need to work together. We organize ourselves into different groups to make a society. Our society has created a set of laws that everyone must follow. These laws are a kind of invisible force which influences the way people behave. There are two forces that motivate people to follow these laws. The first is the fear of punishment for breaking the laws, such as paying a fine or being sent to jail. The other force that motivates people to obey the law is shame. Shame is a painful feeling that rises from a person's consciousness when they think they did something wrong. This includes breaking the law, as long as they believe the law is fair. It may also include hurting an innocent animal or lying to someone. Shame is usually taught to young children to guide their behavior to fit into society. Without actively thinking about it, people's actions are altered to follow the rules. Actions like not walking through certain areas and not stealing things are all because of the power of the law. When people talk to each other, they tend to mirror the body language and emotion of the other person. One needs to find common interests to relate to other people. Some people are more skilled at social interaction than others. Most humans begin their social life in the days at kindergarten. When in school, we are faced with other people who are about the same age and have a similar background. Throughout the school year, certain students make friends and form groups. An invisible force guides the class towards different social groups in which the students share the experience of growing up together. Many people can feel the energy of the audience they are in front of. If you've ever performed in front of a large audience, you have felt the pressure of such a large amount of people all focused on you. This energy encourages many people to perform their best, while others get too nervous and make mistakes. Either way, the attitude of the audience makes a big difference. If the audience is enjoying your performance, it can be the best feeling in the world, feeling how moved they are by your talent. Conversely, if the audience doesn't like you and wants you to get off the stage, you will likely be disappointed in yourself. One can only imagine what it must be like to be a pop star and sing in front of a crowd of 10,000 people or more. Back in ancient times, humans were not aware of the invisible forces in the world. Now, we are aware of the forces found in the universe, such as gravity, electromagnetism, friction, and tension. We have also become conscious of invisible forces that affect our mind, such as emotions and morals. Humans also create our own invisible forces, such as laws and social interaction. As we advance, humans continue to solve the many mysteries of the universe. Who knows how many other invisible forces exist that we don't know about? Perhaps a secret invisible force is slowly guiding humans towards understanding every secret of the universe and the meaning of human life. Well, that's all for today's class. Thank you for coming, everyone. See you next time.